Hi there, this is Gary Ryan Blair, author of the new book, Everything Counts. I'm here with Todd Creager. I'd love to hear a little bit about your new book as well.
Sure. Well, I'm Todd Creager, like Gary just said, and the name of my book is called The Long Hot Marriage. Been a marriage and sex therapist for 27 years, and actually people thought that marriage ends all sex.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's not true. It's absolutely not true. I've seen it happen with many, many people I've helped. So I wrote a book so that more people could learn and get that message and develop the tools to create a long, hot marriage.
Well, tell me, usually people ask, well, what's the book about? I said, but tell me why you wrote the book. What's the why behind the driver behind this?
It's a good question. It's because there is such a myth out there.
Mm-hmm.
I've said this to people before. When I told my brother that I was writing a book and the name of it's called The Long Hot Marriage,
mm-hmm.
he says, "Oh, does it start once upon a time?"
Yeah.
So that's the myth.
Yeah.
It's such a myth.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I see evidence to the contrary,
sure.
when I see that people have to do new things,
mm-hmm.
they have to think new and think creatively,
mm-hmm.
not do what their parents did and their grandparents did,
right.
and that they have new results, that's really what it was in me.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't a hard book to write.
Okay.
It was an easy book to write.
So, some tips, some ideas? What can you share with us?
Sure. Well, for one thing is that what I was saying is that people, we have role models for everything that's good, right? Mm-hmm. We have role models for to be a good skier. You need to take ski lessons. To be a good cook, probably you need cooking lessons. To be an attorney, you got to go to law school. Well, to be an alive, passionate husband or
mm-hmm.
wife, our role models are our parents
mm-hmm.
and our grandparents. So now you see where we're in trouble. Because how many of us have seen couples that had a long, hot marriage or a passionate marriage? So what it doesn't mean is that there's no hope. What it means is that we have to do new things. So one tip is be aware of how you think of your partner. Because the way we think of our partner, well, our partner will become more and more of what we think.
Of course.
So we slip into that mode. So if I think of my partner as, for example, you never listen to me, believe me, I'll talk to you in ways that will make sure that you don't listen to me. Mm-hmm. So I have to be aware of how I think. So that's one tip. Be aware of, and you want to think the best of your partner. And usually that means you can't base it on history. You have to actually imagine your partner the way you want your partner to be, which is very different. Mm-hmm. So that's a central tenet, that instead of being passive, be creative in your thoughts and of course in your actions. That's a major tip. And of course another one is that we have to learn how to deal with pain. Mm-hmm. We have to connect through pain. And we don't know how to do that. We haven't seen, how many of us have seen one parent say to the next, "I'm really angry at you."
Sure.
And then the other person says, "Really, honey, tell me more."
Mm-hmm.
We break off. And then the other main tip I'd say, just to be brief, is that we need to risk. That relationships, just like anything else, in order to be successful, you can't stay comfortable for too long.
Mm-hmm.
Try new things, do new things, both in the bedroom and out of the bedroom.
Of course.
Right.
Well, it's funny how often, you think just the opposite, a short, hot romance, whether it's before someone gets married or at the very beginning.
Right.
And it does have it could easily change, and I certainly understand that. But I guess you could almost say it almost like any muscle. It requires constant stimulation.
That's great. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
One of the things, I don't know why this just came across my mind, but, I see, we're building a house. And I noticed in looking at different architectural plans that they actually have different master bedroom suites for the husband and wife. And I think, this is pretty interesting. I mean, there's times when I snore, my wife says, it's time for you to go to the other room.
Right.
Which is cool, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. But it's just funny to see stuff like that actually go on, which almost kind of negates even communicating with one another.
That's true. That's true. No, for some people, it's helpful to have a bed on wheels that you could somehow separate it out and move into the other room. Snoring is a problem. But I think that we all have to realize that there's lots of ways to have a long, hot marriage. And actually, to be honest with you, I've had people that, for example, do snore.
Yeah.
And so they're in the other room. That's okay, too. They just got to make sure they have dates and they meet in bed at a certain time.
Without a doubt.
Ways to go around it.
I've got this one theory. There's a lot of old sayings that I kind of have a tendency of kicking around because I think most of them, quite frankly, are not true. One of them is opposites attract. And the reason why I have an argument with that is what I've realized, whether it's in a business relationship or even with my wife or really for any relationship that I have, it's what attracts me to other people is similarity of values.
Right.
And that's an important part to keeping that relationship alive, isn't it?
I agree. Yeah, absolutely. I think there are many differences that won't hurt a marriage, but you do have to have some similarity. Mm-hmm. Just like business, any relationship. I mean, there has to be some bond, some connection, and definitely you have to have shared values.
Yep.
What's important, what are the most important things, right? For one person really values family, and the other person values, being, other things like putting a lot of things on top of it,
Yeah.
that could be a problem.
No, without a doubt.
So,
Without a doubt.
yes.
So the name itself, I mean, obviously I could see the attractiveness of it, but why'd you pick that name? What else was in the running?
I actually was trying to think of a whole slew of names, and then my office mate, I actually gave her credit in my book,
Yeah.
because I just said, "What do you think?" She said, "What about the long hot marriage?" It just hit, because really people think of long marriages and they think of hot marriages, but they don't think of it together. And that's really the thing, is that I'm saying that passion could go on forever, forever. Yes.
And in addition to the book, are you going to be doing some workshops and some appearances? How are you going to promote it?
Well, I'm going to try to promote it in many ways through blogging. Here we are, Blog World 09, and through speaking. I have all kinds of ways of reaching people through email. But tell me a little bit about you, of course, and what you're doing to promote yourself. I know your book, and you've had a lot of good luck. Or I shouldn't say luck. I mean, you know what you're doing, I think, so it's not just luck.
You work pretty hard. Yeah. The title of the book is actually Everything Counts.
Everything
And the mission, and I really do believe that that's probably the most important part of this, is having an overarching mission that just kind of compels me and hopefully will inspire other people. But it is to inspire, to promote, and to celebrate excellence.
Huh.
So what I want to do really is get people to understand is that, forget about the rest of the world. Just for just a moment, I just want to concentrate, because my day-to-day interactions are U.S. I mean,
Right.
I do have international business, but I could speak when I go to a restaurant, when I go to the dry cleaners, when I go here. Service standards are low.
Right.
Attention to detail is pathetic. Mediocrity seems to become the norm.
Right.
Just apathetic attitudes that are too many to count.
Right.
And that bothers me. It bothers me to the extent that it concerns me about the future of this country. We don't manufacture anything in this country anymore. Look at it. Just even
True.
our automobiles are starting to
Right.
go south.
Right.
But fundamentally, here's the idea: is that we're a service economy,
Right.
and we have to realize is that everything that we do does count. And you could never go to a Martha Stewart. You could never go to a Michelangelo. You could never go to a Lance Armstrong.
Right.
Or anyone truly who is committed to excellence. You couldn't walk into Tiffany's or De Beers or whatever
Right,
the place
right,
you want, or
right.
say, "Hey, Giorgio Armani, don't sweat it."
Right.
They'll laugh at it. They'll throw you the heck out of the room.
Absolutely.
And what made them so great, what allows them to charge premium prices, to have a stellar reputation, to provide consistently good quality, is because they sweat the small stuff and they make everything they do count.
Wow.
So what this book really is to take the best practices of the human condition and to make that the norm. That's really what I want to do with it.
That's terrific.
Yeah.
That's terrific. And so the book, what kind of areas does it cover in terms of everything counts? Is it?
It's a great question. It covers everything, and here's the thinking. We have 3 tools in order to effectuate a result. It's what we think, it's what we say, and what we do. That's it. That's
Right.
it.
Right.
So fundamentally, our thoughts, are they best practices? What are we thinking about?
Great.
About ourselves?
Right.
What are we
Right.
saying about our bodies? What are we saying about other people? What do we think about our customers? All of those things. We have these perceptions, these mental
Yes.
paradigms. Then we have what we say. The words that come out of our mouth are a verbal manifestation of what we're thinking.
Right.
And sometimes people say the wrong things at the wrong time. And unfortunately, that leads to a disappointed customer or what have you.
Right.
And then we have our actions, the things that we actually do.
Yeah.
So if you think about it, we all engage in all 3 of those. So the book really is applicable for the boardroom, for the classroom, for the locker room, and for the living room.
Yes.
And that's the message I want to get across, is that we all are going to perform on a day-to-day basis. Why not perform to the best of our abilities and take a lot of pride in what we do?
That's great. Our messages overlap quite a bit.
They do.
It sounds like.
Yeah, they
That's
do.
terrific.
Well, you think about it. In a great relationship, everything
Right.
truly does count.
Everything counts.
It's paying attention to the small nuances that you know that your mate likes and
Exactly.
what they love and what they appreciate.
Exactly.
But without a doubt. Absolutely
Right.
without a doubt.
Right.
Well,
That's
listen, I know we're going to wrap this up. Is there one
Yes.
last thing you want to share with us?
Well, first, I just want to say it was great to know you, and I want to get that book of yours and read it. And it's amazing, like I said, how much we overlap in what we're doing and applying it in different ways.
Well, I
So
wish
it's
you the very
terrific.
best, my man.
Same here, Gary.
Thank you.
Take care.
Pleasure.
All right.